Hi guys, this is Mark Teaches Music. I'm Mark Black, and I want you to have fun and be awesome, which is a great thing to do. Today is the 19th day of September. Looks like I have a good sound in front of me. Let me a little louder maybe. And this is episode 62 of To Play and Sing at Mark Teaches Music. And in the To Play and Sing, trying to answer questions and also having a topic of great interest to all humans. And today's topic is don't learn licks unless. Don't learn licks. You shouldn't learn licks unless you're going to do this. Is basically it. So that's what I'm going to talk about here in a second. But all your questions that you would ask, that I'll just say I can't answer them if I can't. And so feel free to ask your questions about anything, about how to play, how to practice, changing instruments, being in a band, being in an orchestra, being in a choir, being in a rock band, concert band, being in a woodwind ensemble, being in a barbershop quartet, just anything. And if I can't answer, if I don't know the answer, I will say I don't know, including I might say things, here's the little bit I know. So any of your questions at all, and over here, that's over here, y'all's questions are here. And so trying to answer all your questions if I can. And and then just by the way, there's 62 of these, and there's at least answers for 300 questions at least in those different questions and topics. And so please feel free to look at them. And and just come back to here and find other topics that are interesting to you. And so if you need information about lessons, go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And of course, if you got questions, just drop them in the chat. And if this is closed, we completed the live stream, then you can send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, and I'll answer that. And I'll, try to answer your comments too here. So I want you to jump right in and send me questions. Just put them in the chat. And if you like this, of course, you're supposed to like. You're supposed to subscribe. You need to hit the bell for notifications, which I think is actually a pretty handy thing, because all just means if I put up a video or something or a live stream, you get a notification. So that seems pretty comfortable and easy to negotiate. And share these videos. Share my channel. Share my channel. And make me rich and powerful, and I'm into that. So today we're going to talk about don't learn licks. Yeah, don't learn licks unless is the title. Don't learn licks unless. Now this is part of a series on the details of how to practice. So there's how to practice as a general sense. I have things about that, and then how to practice specifically. So this is about practicing specifically. Now again, I want your questions. I want to interrupt what I'm saying with your questions, and so you just drop your questions in there, and I will darn well be interrupted. However, until that happens, I'm going to go on this topic, which is don't learn licks unless. So should you learn licks? And what are licks? Licks are small parts of songs or interesting, aggressive things to play. Typically, for most instruments, they're single monophonic. They don't have to be on the guitar or any instrument that can play more than one note at a time. It could be actually quite involved with many notes. But the picture is just somebody going, hey, 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 hey. It's like, there's a lick. Oh, I want to learn that lick. That was cool. Or it's not cool. I want to stay away from that lick. Whatever. So everybody says you should learn licks, and they help you. So, and I am phrasing this in such a way as that, the way most people work on licks, including people who are learning dozens and dozens and even hundreds of licks, is doing them some good, but way less good than is possible, than is available. Because you need to think about it. Nobody's ever going to ask you to play Stairway to Heaven. Nobody's ever going to ask you to play Song 2 by Blur. Nobody's going to ask you to play the riff from Roundabout by Yes. And I don't mean that. I just mean it like, so that people learn these licks and things, and they learn them like, I can play the guitar, I can play the sax, I can play, Paul an excerpt from Paul Desmond's ad lib to take five, you know. And it's like, but nobody's ever going to ask you to do that, you know. So the idea that, wait, let me turn this on. Look what I have. I have a remote control because I'm so cool. Let's see if anything changes. I guess that's a little better, slightly better. It's supposed to be amazingly better. There's that sweet spot. So I hold my head up like that. Well, anyway, this is the way it is. So the deal is that nobody's ever going to ask you to play those licks unless you're playing that song. So people tend to learn many licks or 10 licks or 100 licks, and they're playing, you know, Stairway to Heaven, you know, and that does give you skill. Don't misunderstand. It does give you skill. It's just that it doesn't give you as much skill as you wish. If you think about it, you know, there's different people here, right? There's people who are really skilled. There's people here listening to this. I'm saying people who are like, okay, this lick taught me what, and they're trying to figure out that. I mean, there's also people who are just learning licks. It's up. This is gonna solve my problems, and it likely will not. The odds are that it will not give you ideas on what to improvise, give you the full skills that you would like to have. So we're going to talk about how to make that happen. So songs, if we looked at, we have one over here, we have this poll, we have songs, complete pieces, all the different things that are possible to do, you know, with, you know, I'm playing a melody, I'm being creative, I'm being skillful, you know, all these things together, you know, I'm chording, I'm adding fills, you know, I'm doing all these. And on the other side, not completely on the other side, on the other side is exercises. And exercises are developing skill, but they're very, very generic skills. I can play the A flat scale. I can play the, you know, the C minor pentatonic scale. And of course, these songs are using those things. So the exercises are parts of songs that are making me so skillful. And then here's a song that's putting everything together, but requiring a lot of skills. And sort of in the middle is licks, and you could call them riffs if you want. And I'll talk about, maybe if I remember, I'll talk about my little personal distinction between a lick and a riff, and it's very slight and very just functional for me. So licks, riffs, are kind of intermediate. That is, they're allowing you to focus on developing some skill and coolness and cool sound that you could put in a song, you know, and they're using your skills from your exercises, but they're small and compact, easier to learn, and then in one sense, many of them are like, wow, that lick is a lot harder than the kind of songs. I usually don't play songs this hard, or, you know, this lick is this hard, and usually I don't play a song that's filled with every single lick, every single part of the song is as hard as this. So anyway, a lick is sort of an intermediate sampling out of a song, and again, most people only get, you know, 5 or 10% of the benefit from a lick. So again, we're talking about how to make that excellent and very, very useful to you. And this goes for vocalists, and it goes for instrumentalists. It's not an instrumental thing. I think I've about got it down, but I've been working on a riff by Tori Amos from Sing, her version of, is it Don't You Worry About a Thing? Anyway, it's just a great lick. So as a vocalist, I'm working on that, or finished that, I think. I can't remember. 95% finished, I think is where it is. So, hi, TDB. So, anyway, so what we're missing, or what we need to do, is we need to break these licks down and not just learn them. We need to make them a part of us. So there's basically 3 kinds of licks. And I'm sure there's many other distinctions. I'm distinguishing with the usage. And so one kind of lick is an iconic, precious, personal, boy, I always wanted to play. Oh man, look at my life. You know, I always wanted to play this. I always want to play Stairway to Heaven. It's so beautiful and amazing and, you know, deep and, you know, and I mean, it is a great song. And I, you know, would look at it. That would be a personal, I know it's, you know, everybody does it and you can't do it at Wayne's World, but everything else you can do it. And so, I mean, I would want to learn it because, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful and so excellent, or, you know, like a Blackbird or something. It's like, I'm not, yes, there's skill involved, but I'm learning this lick because it's an amazing thing that I want to do, you know. And the second kind of lick is an assigned lick. Like I'm learning a song, and this song requires me, what is that song? can't think of the song. Anyway, some lick out of a song. We have to play. We could call it the hook if we wanted to. The hook of a song. We got to play this. We're playing this song. I'm playing this song. I got to learn this lick, whether I care for it or not. I still have to learn it. So it's a part of the song. So we got beloved licks, personally important to me, things I have to learn to play a song. And the third kind of lick is kind of what we're talking about, which is cool sounds that you love. You hear in a song and you go, man, that is amazing. That is amazing. I would really love to add that to my playing. So when you are, so we're saying, again, I love this, just really going to learn it because it's so amazing. Got to learn this. And then, but mostly what we're talking about, and the bulk of what we'll be learning is things I want to start playing this way. This guy did this cool things. I want to do this. This chick sang this way. I want to sing like she did, and I want to get these things she does. So that's what we're talking about, them using them to make you a better musician. So other than those kinds of licks, we want licks and riffs that you're attracted to, that you're interested in. So that when you hear it, you say, that is an amazing thing. I want to do that. Now, when you do that, when you pick a lick that you're like, I think that is super cool, including something you're assigned to, or it could also be these things that you're in love with. But I'm saying, so you're like, if you on your own are saying, that is amazing. You listen to somebody play, you listen to Nuno Betancourt play his, whatever that recent thing has come out, and you're like, that's incredible. How do you do that? I want to do that. I want to be like that. If you identify that, then as a thing you want to do, I want to learn this thing, this Coltrane thing, you are already halfway to learning it, or you already have a seed, a connection to it, as opposed to me saying, you should learn that lick, whether you identify with it or not. You need to learn that. It doesn't mean there's not things like that. It just means that here you are, in this part of your musical growth, and you're saying, I would like to learn licks. I need to learn licks to be a better musician, because there's all these cool things that I don't naturally do. I need to learn how to do them. So when you pick the ones, you're saying, okay, here I'm in this listening to, I'm a flautist, so I'm listening to Hubert Law's ad-lib, and I probably don't need, and we'll talk about exceptions to this, or a point is, I probably don't need to learn everything that Hubert Laws plays, and I probably don't need to learn everything that Hubert Laws plays on album 17. I probably could listen, and the best thing I could do, I'm telling you to do, is to listen to album 17 and find 3 songs. I'm talking about this is you. You have an example. And 3 songs, you go, I love this song. Oh, it's amazing. And then there's 3 solos in those 3 songs, and you go like, I'm going to learn this part of this solo, and this part of this solo, and this part of this solo. And again, because you identify them, and I said, I like that, really do, then you're halfway there, because you've already connected to it, and you already hear it in your ear, and you don't know what to do necessarily, but your connection with it. Now in music, there are people who I call the organics versus the people who are the inorganics, and the organics are the people who are, you could call them natural musicians. They have great hands, they have great ears. They very frequently started playing when they were 7. They very frequently, parents were musicians or in a musical family. And as a result of that, I'm just talking about organics, I'm using this name. They are playing, practicing, 1, 2, but really more like, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hours a day, practicing or playing. And so they're just immersed in music. And they have great ears and great hands and everything like that. So those kind of people, everybody could benefit from learning sax player, everything that John Coltrane played. Even if you don't like Coltrane very much, could benefit from it. But the question is, how much of that material can you consume and use? And so somebody who's practicing, 3 hours a day, yeah, I could spend an hour a day learning, this entire solo. You could also say, anybody could say, anyone, organic or inorganic, could say, I love Paul Desmond. I'm going to learn this entire album because I want to. If I could sound like Paul Desmond, that would be it. I'm just as an example. But again, somebody that's not quite as, that's me, man. We could say, well, again, I like this, love this song, and now, so I'm not going to be practicing 4 hours today. I'm going to be practicing for, in reality, you might say, I'm going to practice 30 minutes today. But let's just say you're going to say, I'm going to practice an hour today. So for 20 minutes, I'm going to learn a lick or riff. And so therefore, you're picking a piece of a solo instead of the entire solo, because you're saying, okay, this stuff I can do, or this stuff is not so amazing to me, but this stuff right here is just golden. So I'm saying pick stuff that you know and pick a piece of what you know, unless you're practicing 2, 4, 6 hours a day, many hours a day, let's say 2 hours a day. So you could spend 20, 30 minutes on a song, and you might want to learn an entire song. So yes, if you got time to, you could learn Eruption. And I don't mean time. I'm saying you're spending a lot. You're consuming a lot of musical material. Oh my gosh, I'm just eating all these, learning all these songs and stuff constantly. But if you're only going to practice 30 minutes a day, for most people to learn Eruption, I mean, that's a year. Now, it may not be a year for you. You may have skills and things, and I'm not being cute. I mean, you may have skills, reading skills, hand skills, ear skills that other people don't have. But just think about it. If you're practicing, playing / practicing 3 hours a day, then yeah, you might could spend an hour a day learning Eruption, and wow, you'd be consuming that. It becomes a part of you. But if you're spending 45 minutes a day, then or 30 minutes a day, then you learning a lick is maybe more like a 5 to 10 minute thing. And it'd be better to pick parts of Eruption. Here's where he did this tapping part. I want to learn that tapping part, So anyway, I want you to think like that. So if you're not an organic, you're not practicing, 2 or more hours a day. You're not just, eating all this material. So and then the way that a person would do is not working on these riffs, what I'm fixing to talk about, is not about whether you are an organic, a natural, or an inorganic, that you have to work more and think more about things. Not work more time, but think more about and do more smart thinking instead of just some sort of naturally doing these things. So both kinds of people would benefit greatly from practicing this way, unless when they hit these songs that, here's my goal to be like this guy. Okay. So anyway, so in most situations, most people, including organics, we're going to need to target how we work on these riffs and what we do with these riffs. So anyway, a riff is a cool idea, exciting way to play what you'd like to work on. So in your style. So you're listening. This is what I'm telling you to do. We're starting. This is how to work this. How to select a lick. You're listening to a song from a musician you love, a band, whatever, and you hear this thing this guy goes. Okay. So let's just say that you're listening to a Larry Carlton solo in something by Steely Dan. And so you go like, or Corey Wong, or anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll go with Steely Dan. So you're listening to that. What you don't do this. Hey man, Larry Carlton, he's so cool. Whoa. Yeah, that's not going to do any good. Just like, this guy's so much better than me, I give up. What you need to do is you listen to his solo, and you're listening to his solo. This is you for everything. You're listening to his solo, and you say, okay, that is the coolest, in this block of things. Let's say it's a minute solo, his entire solos, including intros, whatever, in this entire song, this super cool song that I love, is one of my favorite songs, and I'm listening to his. It's one of my favorite guitar things. So you're going to listen and pick out things in there and target things. And we're talking, 1 measure to 20 measures or 10 measures. You're saying this is a consumable, assimilatable amount, based on my practice, based on my skills. So I want you to think that way. It's like, again, unless you're an organic and I'm practicing 4 hours a day, then yeah, you don't necessarily have to make that decision. But most people, including the organics, do need to make that decision when they're not in, this is my iconic guy, or I'm practicing, if you're practicing 6 hours a day, then yes, you can spend a lot of time learning learning everything that Tony Rice played or something. Okay, so anyways, you're picking a 2 to 50 note part of this famous person's solos. You might pick several of those in this solo or this song. You say, well, there's 3 really amazing things he does. He does sweep picking here. He does like Denny Diaz's solo, also a short solo. Denny Diaz's solo in Morning you go gunning for the man. Back jack. So that solo is pretty compact, really. Yeah. So anyway, I'm saying, so you're making decisions based on how much time you need to practice and how much you love the thing. So anyway, so all right, so what you do, like I said, is you pick you pick a song you love, artist you love, song you love, solo you love, parts of the solo you love, 2 to 50 notes. Could be a little bit longer, could be a little bit shorter. And the reason you're doing this is because you've got to be able to get through it. So the first thing you probably want to do, now again, this is assuming the people who are listening to this, that the first time you listen to it, you play it, well then, why are you listening to this video? Except I'm an amazing speaker, so other than that, it's just like, well, I don't mean you shouldn't listen to this video, I just mean it like, don't complain about that, because what I'm saying is for people who need to work on learning licks. So we come down to, here are these 3 sections that I want to learn in this thing. And the first thing you probably need to do is slow the freaking thing down. And it's fine if you slow it down a fifth the speed. You slow it down by 80% or whatever. You're going back, Jack, do it, so that solo, it's fine. It doesn't matter how slow you do it because you're just trying to get a handle on it. Now I can play this disconnectedly, but I can, oh, he's doing this, oh, he's doing that, and I understand now. And again, a lot of the things we would just stare at in disbelief numbly, I don't have any idea what to do, are really just a function of I can't understand that. So it's not a big deal. You're not stupid. It's just you hadn't done that before. It's like translating something in Tagalog, or something. So anyway, and frequently after you slowed it down, here we got our 50-note solo in front of us, slowed down. But skill-wise, we probably now need to chop it into little sections. 4 notes, 6-note, 10-note. Things that you can master and ingest, that is, I'm assimilating it. So you're going to break it down into sections, little parts, and you're thinking of notes, not necessarily measures. It may cross a measure bar. It may be half a measure instead of a full measure. And when you find that right mix of slow speed and correct chunks, and you're like, okay, now these are all kind of consumables for me now. This is slow enough that I can kind of get it and work on it. It's a small enough part that I can get, including with mistakes. It's not perfect, but I'm working on it. It's pretty good. So now you're working through each little section. So section 1, and you're trying to play that correctly and slow at this slow speed, and you play it at that slow speed, the little chunk, until you play it correctly, and you play it correctly 5 to 7 times in a row. Not just, oh, I can't believe it, congratulations, self, you finally played it right, because you just played it 70, 100 times wrong. So right now the wrongs have it. So now that we got it correct at this slow speed, this little chunk, I want to play that little chunk correctly 5 to 7 times in a row. And when I can play it 5 to 7 times correctly in a row, I've got it. Do I have it tomorrow? Probably not. Maybe. We'll see. Then I go to chunk 2, and I work on that until I can play that 5 to 7 times in a row. And I work on chunk 3. Okay? And I work on that until I can play that 5 to 7 times in a row. But now I need a new dimension, a new aspect. And now what you need to do is, hey, link those 3 chunks together. And it could be 4 chunks or 2 chunks. I'm not trying to define that. Working on the small chunks, and now I got to link the small chunks together. Got to play 1, 2, and 3 in a row correctly 5 times, 5 to 7 times in a row. And when you can do that, depending on your thing, that might have been the whole, as I'm making this up, that could have been 20 notes, but maybe there's another 20 notes or 60 notes left. So you're working through chunk at a time, connecting the chunks, and some of the things that are very difficult, you may need to do this where you play notes 1 through 5, and then this doesn't, the number of the notes, it's what sounds like a phrase. But as an example, if you play notes 1 through 5, and then you play notes 6 through 10, and then you play notes 11 through 15, sometimes you need to, like here they are, sometimes you need to come and play the last couple of notes of chunk 1 and the first couple of notes of chunk 2. So you had this thing, and now you're saying, well, let me play notes 7 through 12 and notes 13 through 18 and notes 19 through 20 because I'm having trouble connecting them. It depends on how hard it is, and frequently we self-select to get to a good stopping place in a riff, a lick, and now it's hard to get from one part to the next. So we would do the ending of things to make them to get all the connections smooth. So, and this is exactly what a classical player or a jazz player or a progressive rock or bluegrass player playing complicated music, it's exactly what they should do. This process is how you work on a classical solo, a note by note solo, where you have to play things the same exact way you work it. Now, okay, so I have this riff, and so now I've got this riff. Now everybody does this, pretty much what I said so far. They may not do it exactly this way. This is the way most people should do it, including the organics, unless you, like I said, are playing so good and playing so much that it's sort of I looked at it and I could play it in 5 minutes or 1 minute, whatever. So here you are playing this riff. It's slow. And again, what you would do now, like you're supposed to be at 150 and you're playing at 50. So now, and all correct though, each little chunk, each connection, no pauses. It can be slow, real slow. Now what you say, okay, let me see if I can do it at 75. Now that's double the speed, right? We're going 50 now at 75. If your grade went from an A at 50 to an F at 75, then you would want to increase it much slower. So, and a 10% increase would be going from 50 to 55. And you'll have to see, then it varies from song to song and skill level to skill level, how much should I increase this? Should it be 5%? Should it be 10%? Should it be 20%? Sometimes you can make great leaps. Sometimes you have to do really, and the ones that are hardest, when you have to go slow, your increment of increase is small. That's great because it's hard, and that as you work it out, you're learning and fixing many, many, many things. So congratulations, you found a great thing to work on. So anyway, so I'm bringing it up, and it's going, I'm making 50, 75, 100, 120, 130, 140, 150. Yay, it's supposed to be 150, I'm doing 150. And by the way, if you're going to perform it and really be masterful at it, you need to do it at probably 15% faster. So you want to do it, not be able to do it perfect. Yes, be able to do it perfectly, not at 150, but at 170, 175, so that it sounds masterful. And if the drummer counts off too fast, you're not like, oh my God, you're like, okay, I can do it at this speed. So now though, all we've done is open the door. Now I can play this lick, this riff. So what I've got is I developed some skills. And again, I don't know what we could say. This is, let's say this took let's say it took a week. And so I've devoted 50% of 2% of my year to learning this riff. When is it going to come up? When am I going to use it? I sure hope somebody plays this song. Somebody plays Do It Again so I can play the Denny Dion's lick for them. Well, that's the way most people stop. But this is what you do not need to do. What you need to do now is you need to say, what key is this in? Now, you probably should have said that in the beginning. But the point is what key is this in? And if you're playing a fretted instrument with a fretboard, you should say, what pattern am I using? And because we want to know how to put this in another key. So, and then where's the tonic? Now let's see, I'm supposed to have this wonderful little riffy poo. Let's see how loud this is. I did this little, if I do something from a real song, then the copyright police will, take away all of my money. How much money I'm making. Let's see if this comes out. Okay, cool. Well, that is a riff, and so there's me playing a little riff, and so you say, "Oh, I want to do that." So first off, what key is that in? And again, a note reader, not a. So I'm saying I know what those notes are, because I played it right. You know, those instruments, saxophone, a trumpet, a tuba. You know, I have to know what the notes are to play it. A guitar player can play things, a bass player can play things, and not actually know what they are. Now he doesn't need to do that, but he can do that. So anyway, here we are. So which of those notes are? What is the tonic? What key is that in? So I went, and I just did it on the flute because I could just grab it. So it went. Now, this is in the key of a G minor. And if you were playing on the guitar, you might, for example, play the 6 pentatonic pattern, the 6 blues pattern, with your first finger on the 3rd fret. You would have started on the 5th fret of the 5th string to play this, because it starts on the 5th. It just happens to. And so you need to figure out what key it is in. Okay, so this is in G minor. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to play this in other keys. Now, I play it in, I'm going to say, but 3 other keys is a good example. And so I just went, so now I'm going to play it in A. I have not done this. No. I'll get it. Okay, now let's do it in the key of F minor. I don't want to do any of this until they'll be on the C. No. Yeah. Now, notice there's missing skill, and I should do it in another key. So here I'm playing in several keys. Now, why am I doing this? Because I don't want to just sit around until somebody shows up and plays the song that's in, and I want to be able to play that in any key. Why? Because the lick police are going to come in. No, because why did I learn this? Because it was cool. It was an amazing thing. I was just like, wow, I want to do that. So I want to play it in several keys, and hopefully the fact that I can play it in 3 keys or 4 keys would mean that I can extrapolate those into other keys. In other words, so that because I can play it in F minor, I could play it in G minor, I could play it, let's say, in the flat keys, and I would do some sharp keys, and I might do a hard key too. Okay, now, so there it is. Presumably I'm skilled. Now, again, if you got lots of time and you really love this riff, you should play it in every single key. The question is, how much return are you getting to play it in every minor key? I'm not sure I know the answer to that is. I think it depends on how great the riff is, how much time you're practicing, things like this. So here you are. We can play it in 4 minor keys. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, can you make it major? Now, I know what the notes are, so I went... No. So major, all I need is to change it. Okay, let me think about this a minute. I need to change several notes. I had to change the flat 7 to the 6, and I need to change the flat 3rd to the raised 3rd. Now listen, you don't know nothing. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Just do it by ear. You know, play a G chord, you play a G minor chord, you know, and you get this sound, and you're like, oh yeah, and you play that riff. If you like that riff, this is an example riff, right? So then you say, okay, now let me try this. Put it in the major key, same exact riff. Minor instead. So here was major. I have to make 2 alterations, but I'm doing them by ear. I did it by ear just now. I'm not saying it's great. It's fine. No. Same riff. Now it's major. Now I'm going to do that in several other major keys. What am I doing? I'm trying to get to where I can play this riff in anything in the world. That is, it's not just a certain key. It's not just a certain style. I mean, a certain tonality. And then I'm going to try to do it in several different styles. Now I'm going to see if I can just jump right over here like a ninja and grab some. I have no I have no idea what I'm just going to punch some of these songs. I hope that something shows up. Wow, look at that. Well, here it comes. One more time. What key is that in? Oh, gosh. It says smooth jazz. So I'm going to try to put this. So I'd be in this key of B flat, so I'm having to change it. Well, this is not, I wasn't trying to cheat, but it is cheating because, make that quick play. Where is it? That's cheating because it is in the relative major. I did the riff in G minor. This is B flat, so it's not a stretch. So let's try this one. Let's see what this key's in. So this is country. I can see that it's country, and I'm going to play that. It's in G. Okay. Yeah, good. I have no idea. I'm got to try to fit this in. So I got to get in G. G major, if you did me. See? So now I got my riff, and I can play it in all the minor keys. It started off, it's birthed in the minor key. Then I put it in the opposite tonality. I did it in all the major keys. I only did it in 4 of each, but now I can put it in those keys. Now I got different. Now I'm trying it in different styles, and I just want to make the point because it's a great point, even if there's, this is a bossa nova, and what key is that? Just good gracious, what key is that in? Well, it says it's in G2. Let's just try and that's something that's not in G. Let's see. It says fly slowly. That's what it says. Okay. A minor. There we go. I don't remember what this sounds like. Okay. I want to put it in a different style. It's in a different key and a different style. Same riff. So I can change the speed, I can change the style, I can change the tonality, I can do all these things with this. Now what's happening, and if you, so I could do all these things. I put it in a blues, I can put it in a rock piece, I can put in all these different things, and it's like, oh, it's because I loved it, right? I started it with something I loved, and I thought it was great. So now, if you are playing an instrument, you should try to play things up an octave, down an octave. If you're playing an instrument like the guitar or the bass or the mandolin, try to play it start on different strings. The guitarist with 6 strings, he should try to play it on at least 3 different sets of strings. It might be more strings than that to do, but for example, Cliff Dover, who is that? He learns all his riffs like starting them on 3 different strings. So the point is that makes it so you're not just stuck in this one place. So here's the conclusion. So this might take you, and I would say that unless these are these iconic riffs, you're just, oh my gosh, if I could play that, or iconic riff, I gotta learn this riff, or this would change my playing so much if I could do this. It's super important. We're talking about kind of a week, 2 weeks, turnaround. And I'm saying you're kind of thinking about it like that. You're thinking, well, if it took me which is not wrong, if it took me 2 weeks to learn all the riffs, then I can learn 20, 25 in a year. Internalize. We're trying to make them a part of us. So this is a great idea. So all of this is from this little bitty riff that you liked and you thought it was cool. And now I was trying to say about the week, 2 weeks, because it's not a big deal. What I said sounded like, wow, how do you do that? Or that's just going to take my life. No. The first few ones may take a while to do that. And I just want to comment that when you're learning a riff, the first few times you're learning riffs at all, and particularly when they're very difficult or you haven't done it much or this is a new thing you haven't done, for the first hour, whether that's over a week or in a session, you may be bumfuddled as to what in the world that is, and trying to figure out just what is that? I don't understand how that's done at all. That's fine. That's fine, because you're learning something completely new. How wonderful that is that you're learning that. So what we just did, we did this riff. We did it in every major key, every minor key, multiple styles, and so. And I should have done a little bit more on changing the rhythms. I think something should have changed the rhythms more, because that's changeable too. And this little bitty riff has gone into the vat of things that I can do comfortably, naturally, automatically, that are impressive to listen to, and a part of you. So that's how to take the riff and get the maximum benefit. And don't take that as a lot of work. It's a lot of input into you, all things that you care about. So I'm looking at the questions, and the question I see that I want, here it is right there. Okay, here it is. What is the difference between a puppy and a singer? What is the difference between a puppy and a singer? Eventually, the puppy grows up and stops whining. Yep. That's the difference between a puppy and a singer, because eventually the puppy will grow up and stop whining. Not so with the singer. So for more information about lessons go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. If you have questions, you put it in the... Sorry about that. Put them in the comments, or send me an email at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com. Look at these videos. There's a adlibbing tomorrow night, tomorrow by the end of day tomorrow, I'll have out another adlibbing video out, and there's like about 100 different styles and instruments and stuff of adlibbing, and then there's all these topics, like I said, and then so take a look at that. And as always, until I see you again, I am